Yes. I'm seeing someone else from Malaysia, Eugene.
Couple of familiar names. I think they might be students from Help. So hello to our friends from the Help community.
Amazing. Poland, the UK, the Philippines, Washington, Jamaica, India.
Wow.
Got representation from just about everywhere, Australia, Oregon, Texas, Pennsylvania. I see another person who said Denver, and so I'm close by. Hello. Amazing. Keep it coming, everyone. As you're joining, go ahead and share where you're calling in from. And we're going to give a few more minutes for everyone to join, and then we'll jump into the scheduled webinar. Wonderful. I'm seeing a lot of representation from across Canada, Ohio, where VIA is based. Awesome. All right. So excited to have everyone here today. We have more people joining, so we'll just again give a few minutes for everyone to get in, get settled. And yeah, if you're just joining, go ahead and let us know where you're calling in from. Amazing.
Wow, it's wonderful. Nigeria, New Orleans,
Hmm.
Buffalo, Springfield, Big Rapids, Mexico, Pennsylvania, Abu Dhabi, nice, Michigan, Bridgeport, Connecticut, not too far from where I am, South Africa, Norway, wonderful.
Danielle, I think we might have representation from every continent in the world, save for the North and South poles.
Yes, right. Well, you never know, a polar bear might join or or a
Or a
penguin or
penguin.
something,
Yeah, hoping for a penguin.
Now that would be something I'd love to see.
right?
All right, everyone. We'll give it one more minute and then we'll jump into our agenda for the day.
Wonderful. Brazil, Nigeria, welcome, welcome. Ontario, Japan,
Hmm.
beautiful. Colorado, Mexico, hola. Afghanistan, wonderful. South Africa, Barcelona, Spain, Berlin, Germany, Wonderbar, great. Frankfurt, Uganda, Poland,
Lovely. Here there are no
yes.
borders, one
No
purpose.
borders. Oh, I love
Yeah.
that. That's beautiful. So beautiful.
Lots of VIA fans. Anyone from Poland would like to
Ireland,
out here?
UK, Chicago, nice.
Amazing, everyone. So I'll go ahead and just share a small update. So in the bottom of your Zoom window, you're going to see a bunch of different icons, and there should be one for Q&A. It's going to be a little speech bubble with a Q&A in it, and if you don't see it immediately, try going over to your three small dots on the right-hand corner, and if you click that, you'll see the letters Q&A. And so as we're going today, if you have any questions, go ahead and add them there. That will help us keep track of everything. With the amount of people in the webinar and hopefully some engagement in the chat, we don't want to miss anything. And we are going to reserve some time at the end to answer any questions that you have. So, go ahead and add them there. And then also just knowing we have Alicia Powers with us here today who supports VIA, and she'll also be in the chat helping with anything that you might need. So just a heads up, Alicia will be here with us. And then also feel free to use that Q&A tab at the bottom. All right. All right, I'm so excited to have you all here today. We're going to go ahead and jump into the agenda. So we did our welcome. I will be introducing you to our speakers. We'll get a taste of MBSP with a mindful pause. We'll talk a little bit about the MBSP program. For all of those who might be new to this, we'll share just a little details that you need to know what is this program. Then we will hear from Danielle and Eugene and learn a little bit about their stories with this program and how it's impacted their life. We'll jump to your Q&A, and then don't miss out for a small closing practice with the group to really send you off on the rest of your day or night. So yeah, with that, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to introduce our speakers. All righty. Okay, so first we have Eugene Tee, who is a dear friend of VIA. He is an associate professor at Help University in Malaysia, specializing in emotions and positive psychology. He holds a PhD in management and a master's in applied positive psychology from okay, sorry, just got a little notification with the MAPP program in Pennsylvania. He is a certified MBSP practitioner, and he's published leading journals. He's spoken at TEDx, and he regularly appears on national radio discussions on emotional intelligence and well-being. He is the founder of Emotivity and the author of The Science of Feelings, which is recognized among Malaysia's 50 best titles. His signature strengths include creativity, judgment, and humility, and he enjoys writing, gaming, and gifting friends with handmade origami. Eugene, it's so lovely to have you here today.
It's a pleasure to be here, Sarah. Thank you so much for the very kind and humbling introduction. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you all tonight, and I look forward to engaging in a series of meaningful conversations with you all. Welcome once again.
Lovely, lovely. And now turning to Danielle Casioppo. Danielle is VIA faculty, so we get to hang out with her quite a bit, and it's exciting that she could join us today. She is a national board certified health and wellness coach, certified yoga teacher, and a meditation instructor. She is a charter member of the Mindfulness-Based Strengths Practice program and instructor. She's a lead MBSP trainer and, as I said before, a faculty member with VIA. She is also an employee for the Wellbeing Education team at Yale University. So Danielle, I'm excited to pass it over to you to get us started with one of the foundational practices of mindfulness-based strengths practice.
Great. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much, everybody. It's wonderful to meet you. Thank you for being here. And thank you for bringing your strengths of curiosity and love of learning right off the bat and wanting to learn more about MBSP, this powerful program. So I thought we could open with a little practice that is foundational in MBSP called the mindful pause. And so this practice is brief. It's meant to be not too long. And it's wonderful for beginners. It's great for people who have some experience with mindfulness and or strengths. And so, I invite you to try this out wherever you are. So we'll begin by inviting the bell. The bell is a very important part of MBSP. And when we hear the bell, in MBSP, the invitation is to invite that sound. And so I'll go ahead and start us off with the sound of the bell. And then softening or closing your eyes, if it feels okay, for just a moment. Giving yourself that permission to pause your activity. To allow yourself to arrive in this space, wherever you find yourself today joining us. Give yourself that permission to purposefully set an intention to pause, to be fully present. And then allow yourself to find your breath. Become aware of your inhale and become aware of your exhale. Feeling your body breathing in and out. And setting the intention to follow your breath for 3 full cycles. Breathing in and breathing out. Allowing that awareness of the breath to help center the mind, to center the body in the present moment. And then asking yourself, which of my character strengths might I bring forth now? Which of my strengths might support me most with this next portion of our program or whatever you have today? And as that answer comes to you, whichever of your character strengths you might like to bring forth, setting the intention to take action on that strength, to use that strength, to allow it to come to fruition for you. And then when you're ready, you can reopen your eyes, coming back fully into your space. And thank you for trying the mindful pause.
Wow, that was lovely. I just kind of wanted to stay in that a little bit longer. Thank you so much, Danielle. You just have such a lovely way of bringing that practice to life. So with that, we want to go ahead and share a little bit more about the program with you all. All right. Okay, so MBSP was launched in 2014, and to date, we have had attendance from 50 different countries. And so, something that's really unique about MBSP is that it is an individual practice, but it's also about shared growth. So, being a part of community. And I'll just say really quickly that when I took MBSP in 2023, Eugene was in my course, and I remember him bringing like his light and wisdom to the group. And so it's so exciting that 2 years later, we're getting to be on this webinar together. And so I think that's a really special part of the program. Outside of that, we've seen so many people love this program. 9 out of 10 would recommend it to a friend or a colleague. And 91% of people said that this program brought them greater well-being. And then also with relationships, right? Like we give to ourselves so we can give back to the people in our lives. And 86% of people reported an improvement in the quality of their relationships, which we know are like the number one teller of a long, healthy life. So very exciting to see that. And then yeah, so up on the slide, you'll see some of the details about MBSP while you're reading. I just wanted to share a little bit about the history of mindfulness-based strength practice. So as I said before, created in 2014. However, iterated and thought about way before that, created by Dr. Ryan Nemec, who is our chief science officer and also a licensed psychologist. He was teaching mindfulness way before it was a buzzword. And he was working with people who were experiencing stress, pain, depression. And he realized that mindfulness wasn't just a technique, it truly was a way of being and living. So something that's really cool about the program and also that he points out is that it is about how you drink your coffee. It's about walking your dog. It's about listening to people you care about in your life. So kind of goes beyond like maybe what we traditionally think as mindfulness and really helps it land into everyday practices in our life. Um, so he noticed that there was something missing. And so he started blending character strengths and mindfulness together, and mindfulness-based strengths practice was born. And so, like I said, we've been having cohorts now for over 10 years and with representation from over 50 countries. Yeah, thousands and thousands of people have experienced the goodness of MBSP. So a little bit about the past and then a little bit more about what you can expect from the program. So it is an 8-week program held live on Zoom, again, giving you access to your facilitator as well as all the different people who have chose to join your cohort. It is the first globally available program to combine mindfulness and character strengths with the purpose of helping you live more intentionally and boosting your well-being. So it's really designed for anyone who's looking to slow down, reduce stress, and reconnect with themselves. Throughout the program, you'll experience guided exercises like the one Danielle just shared with us, interactive discussions, and really have the ability to build a toolkit that you can use at any point when life gets tough or when you want to grow or all the times in between. So with that, I wanted to just ask Danielle, Eugene, do you have anything to add? If not, all good.
Oh, I
Cool.
had an amazing time with our cohort, Sarah. So yeah, it's still fresh in memory, all the wonderful learning and takeaways from the time that we had together in 2022, 2023. Danielle.
Yeah, thank you. I'll just echo that sentiment that the groups that come together, it's really amazing how different people from all over the world can come together in a group and just within a matter of weeks form this very beautiful space to share, to grow, to learn, to sometimes feel vulnerable. And of course, as instructors, we're facilitating the program, but, my experience has been that, like Eugene was saying, I learn just as much from the groups and from the individuals that are there. It's just really such a gift. And I teach a lot of programs, and I would have to say that MBSP is by far my favorite program to offer and to lead. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to do so and to meet all of these wonderful people from all over the world.
Amazing. Yeah, I feel like we all echo kind of that same sentiment. And yeah, before we jump in to hearing more about Danielle and Eugene's story, I did just want to point out we have two more courses this year. One starts May 7th with Dr. Roger Brotherton, and then one starts September 9th with Dr. Ryan Nemec. So stay tuned to the end of the presentation where we'll share a special discount for the group here. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I know I already introduced Danielle and Eugene, but we're really excited to hear more about their real stories and experiences with this program. And so I'm gonna get started with, we'll do 3 questions and then we'll keep it moving to the rest of the presentation. But I'm very excited for this. And so with that, my first question is what inspired you to join the MBSP program? And so, Eugene, I'll pass the ball to you to get us started. What inspired you to join this program?
Sure. Thank you, Sarah. So my first introduction to VIA and the character strengths typology classification was all the way back in 2016. And so during that time, I remember teaching a course on emotions, and it was just one particular topic on happiness. And I got the students to, in the midst of another activity, complete the VIA survey. So, I noticed at that point, Sarah, the students responded with a lot of enthusiasm, and really, I think it really sparked an interest in them in realizing that this is another approach to understanding who we are that really, just sort of narrows in on the goodness that already resides within them. So this strengths as virtues approach, I like to call it, that really resonated with my students. So fast forward a couple of years after that, and, I found myself really fortunately enrolled in the Masters of Applied Positive Psychology at the University of Pennsylvania. And Ryan was there as a lecturer for one of the modules. And I think it was titled Positive Psychology and Individuals. And he really shared an update on the science of character strengths. And I was, really impressed. I was blown away, right? Just realizing that the science had progressed so much since the last time I took the survey. And so it was really a kind of new lens, if you will, by which to recognize, celebrate, and to use strengths. And pairing that with mindfulness, I think that was a masterstroke on Ryan's part, right? To just get individuals, right, to encourage them, an invitation almost to recognize, to celebrate, and to use their strengths, right? Taking one step beyond realization, but also embedding that into the everyday actions. And when you spoke about big mindfulness as well, it's not, sitting cross-legged and chanting or just focusing on the breath. I think when we think about big mindfulness, that applies to a broad spectrum of our day-to-day activities. And so post-MAPP, I was really excited to do a deep dive almost and to hear more of Ryan's wisdom, the science and the research of mindfulness and character strengths. And so that was my post-MAPP journey and sort of inspiration to join the program and meeting you as well in the cohort that we experienced together.
Lovely, Eugene. Thank you so much for sharing. Danielle, go ahead and we'll pass it over to you. So looking forward to hearing what inspired you to join MBSP.
Great. Thank you, Sarah. And thank you, Eugene, and everybody. So I was introduced back in I had started teaching mindfulness meditation where I work at Yale University for employees back in 2015. And in 2016, I was introduced to Dr. Dan Tomasulo, who some of you may know. He's a part of the MAPP program for a long time. He's a close colleague of Dr. Nemec's. And I also, at the same time, started finding positive psychology books, Dr. Martin Seligman's books, and kind of all happening in that year of 2016, I did the online Coursera introduction to the MAPP program. that takes you through kind of, an intro to positive psychology. It's the foundational course in positive psychology. And I went through that program and just absolutely fell in love with everything, and realized, hey, I need to start integrating more positive psychology into the programs that I was already offering to Yale employees, being an education specialist in the employee well-being program. And so I started doing that. I started with gratitude and became introduced to character strengths, and started integrating that. And then in 2017, I joined Dr. Dan Tomasulo's program on getting a certificate in applied positive psychology through, it was like the New York certificate in applied positive psychology in Manhattan. And so I live close enough where I was able to go and do that for 5 months, and got to know him much better. Through that program was introduced to Ryan, and all of the amazing work that VIA is doing more closely. I heard Ryan speak, and just like Eugene was saying, I was hooked. When he started sharing the research that Littman and Ovadia were doing out of Israel, looking at workplace wellness and how character strengths were impacting employees, I was like, yeah, that's it. And then when I learned more from Ryan and reading his books and learning about the integration of mindfulness, which I was already practicing, already leading groups, it was like that sweet spot of like, an epiphany. The light came down, and I realized, hey, this is something amazing that I need to learn and do myself, get more of. So I enrolled in Ryan's next cohort, which was the 2018 cohort of MBSP group. And so that was amazing. I still know some of my colleagues from that group there's other faculty members that were part of that group. And as soon as I got done doing that, I started sharing more of MBSP where I work at Yale, and employees just loved it. People loved it. Anybody, at that time, I was opening it to more folks, and it was just great. I got wonderful, wonderful feedback. And I've been offering it there since then. So I actually just wrapped up with my 16th cohort of Yale employees. And, through that time, and when Ryan was forming the MBSP instructor program, I was, very eager to jump on board and to help, create that in any way that I could. And so that as Sarah mentioned, I'm also very honored to be one of the first 15 international charter certified MBSP instructors who helped to kind of try and get that program going and off the ground. And that was officially kind of formalized and solidified in 2021. And so, that has also been another kind of piece of the puzzle that's, a deep passion and place where I like to help and support and offer instruction and that kind of thing. So very honored to be working so closely with VIA, with Ryan, with Sarah, with everybody here. It is my, what I call like part-time job that I offer with a full-time heart. So thank you, everybody.
Yeah, I love that. What I heard from both of you was that it was this initial interest in positive psychology and having the best life that you can possibly have. And then you started stumbling upon these different resources, positive psychology, character strengths, and then you wanted to share it with the people in your life. And you both are doing that, which I think is incredible as instructors and also just with embodying the practice in your everyday. So I love that. It's exciting. There's a common thread, I feel like. And yeah, so thinking about the program and your experience in those 8 weeks and after, looking to hear about a powerful insight or a personal shift that you experienced. And so, yeah, did Eugene, I'll go ahead again and tap you in. Powerful insight or personal shift that you experienced with this program.
Well, it's a tough question because there wasn't just one powerful insight, but I think many. And I'm gonna just build on what Danielle said earlier on to say that, sometimes we stumble across the best ideas, and it's the ideas that, we recognize as being so powerful and positively impacting those around us. I think, Danielle, one of the things that I remember from MAPP was what Marty said to us during one of the very first lectures. And he reminded us, and I still remember it clear as day, as if it happened just yesterday, that you're all called to do the work of positive psychology. And I think that still resonates with me in not just my positive psychology modules, but in the MBSP sessions that I've since run at my institution. So, sorry, just one powerful insight. I'm going to give a few if that's okay. Just going to be mindful of the time as well. I think one of the first realizations from being a part of the MBSP community was a, a really profound recognition, mindful recognition, and a gentle invitation to use one's best qualities. And it's the best qualities that already reside within us, right? So the recognition that something within ourselves is already working well. Another key insight, and I think this is from the third MBSP session. So for friends who are interested in taking up this course, I think, just a reframing, such a powerful shift, a reframing in thinking about challenges reframed as opportunities. They definitely not the most pleasant experiences when we think about challenges, right? But these are opportunities nonetheless for us to use our strengths and to do so mindfully to overcome and to grow, to be better as a result of the use of our strengths. I think generally as well, we all started speaking and echoing Danielle here and sharing that, I got to interact with people from all around the world. And we spoke a common language, the language of strengths. And the breakout sessions were really nothing but inspiring. Learned a lot from people from different cultures, different backgrounds, different industries. And I was like, wow, everyone is collectively sharing, right? And I think they're all waking up to their very best so that they can, in turn, be the best for themselves and for those around them. So from their friends to their friends, family members, workplaces, and maybe even their communities as well. So certainly a lot of key realizations and reflections. I'll probably just take one or two more if that's okay, and say that another powerful realization is that although we do say that we're going to, identify one or two strengths and call forth those strengths in a specific circumstance or experience, I think we do instead use a constellation, if you will, combinations of strengths. And we bring that as our fullest best selves into whatever calls out to us in any given situation or moment. So I would say that as well. Still remember what Ryan was sharing with us. I'm sure Daniel remembers this as well, that we never use our strengths just in isolation. We use them in tandem. There's a whole other research that I'm going to stop myself from geeking out right now in terms of, strengths working together, one strength pulling up another strength, or a higher strength being strengthened by a lesser used strength. But I think that's just me and the research side of character strengths. But it's, I couldn't stop at one, so I hope it's okay to maybe just elaborate a little bit on the excitement that I do feel whenever I share both the research and the practice of character strengths. So there we have it.
Thank you so much, Eugene. Appreciate that thoughtful answer and happy to have more than one example. We have time and happy to hear your story and your experience. And so with that, Danielle, looking forward to hearing what your powerful insight or shift was while taking this program or afterwards.
Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. So, and thank you, Eugene, for sharing all those powerful insights. Appreciate it. So my shift, I would have to say, while I was going through MBSP myself as a learner, was definitely, I think the whole program is so powerful. And the first part that drew me in was this kind of enticement of, hey, you're going to learn more about your strengths, what makes you you, right? Your most authentic self. But then also the combination of applying our strengths to our mindfulness practice. So as somebody who was already practicing mindfulness, had a meditation practice, wanting to cultivate that more deeply, that also really appealed to me, that, I could use my strengths and experience my mindfulness in a more profound way. And with kind of the added understanding that Ryan's tradition that he followed is the Plum Village tradition, the Thich Nhat Hanh tradition. And that also appealed to me tremendously because that is the tradition that I was resonating with early on as a practitioner and an instructor. So it just was all kind of coming together for me in terms of kind of touching on my spirituality, which is a higher middle strength for me. It's not my top 5, but it's definitely a higher strength for me. And that really was very appealing. So, as an individual, as a practitioner, feeling that, and as Eugene was saying, there is this calling to, positive psychology practices in general, but then also for me, the mindfulness piece. And then the biggest shift, I would have to say, was when we started working with strengths reframing. And in particular, when Ryan led a meditation practice that we do in MBSP around strengths reframing. And the name of the practice is called Defining Moment. And that practice for me was absolutely pivotal. And it allowed me to take a very challenging time in my life, something that I had gone through, that for a long time I had looked at myself kind of through a negative lens around that situation and felt badly about things. And in doing that practice and doing some deeper work afterwards, some reflecting, some journaling, and I actually did reach out to Ryan and talked with him about it as the instructor. I wanted some guidance. It actually helped me to move beyond, to see my strengths that I was using during that challenging time. And I truly did experience what now I know later as an instructor, as I also have a master's of science in applied psychology. I realized I went through post-traumatic growth as a result of this practice. It was that strong, it was that powerful. And so then I started to realize that, I can apply MBSP and character strengths and, to some of these situations that are a little more challenging, that we all go through stuff in life that's not super easy, as Eugene was saying, not the most pleasant things to go through, but really impactful for us as individuals and can help us to learn and grow and develop. And so I started applying MBSP to my recovery. I do consider myself a person in recovery, and that just opened up so many more doors as well. And so that, I think, was probably one of the most pivotal moments in this practice for myself as a learner. As Eugene was saying, I have several others I could share, but I won't, because of time. But happy to share with anybody, who wants to reach out and talk, afterwards or something. Please let me know. But yeah, that was probably the most profound experience for me going through MBSP. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing, Danielle. And I feel as though each person who goes through this program has something unique that they can take away, and it might look different or sound different or feel different for each person, but ultimately we all are able to live better, live more free, at least in the mind, with these practices and leaning on our strengths. And so thank you both. Yeah, that touched me. And yeah, I wish we could go on and on with each of these experiences and dig in a little deeper, but I do also appreciate that you both are available to support or talk with people if they have additional questions or, want a little bit more information. So that's very generous of you. Okay, so although this question might have been answered in the past two shares, I just wanted to finish off our Q&A together. In what ways, what's one way that MBSP has influenced your life, the way that you live, the way that you work? Um, so yeah, Eugene, I'll go ahead and have you go first.
Thank you, Sarah. And thank you, Danielle, for sharing that powerful personal story, because it's, I think, something that a lot of us relate to and, could probably, just recall an experience in which we ourselves just realized that there was something working within us. And, not to dismiss, if I could use the term maybe a little bit strongly there, to discount, right, the best qualities. We don't always get it right. I think, just to quote Ryan again, I think we all practice imperfectly. Mindfulness and character strengths is a journey of a lifetime, right? And I often fondly remember him prompting us to think about how long a million seconds is and how long a billion seconds is. And you're smiling to that, Daniel, because I think that's something that we all share with our students as well. And so to answer your question, Sarah, in terms of ways in which MBSP has influenced my life and my work. I shared a little bit early on in terms of, sharing the typology, sharing the common language with my students. But on a more personal note as well, I think I, really relate to what Danielle had shared earlier on in saying that, we recognize that these are good qualities within us. And I struggle a little bit. And I had sessions with Ryan in which I shared, I don't quite like this being as one of my highest strengths. It's within my top 5. I'm not quite seeing why this is a good in me. People have called me judgmental, a little bit overly critical. And I felt really reassured when Ryan shared a bit on maybe an overuse of strengths, but also accepting and appreciating that it has brought you to where you are in this moment in time. Right. So I saw judgment in a slightly different light. And if I may, I'm just going to share a story which I like to tell my students and any participant in my MBSP sessions. I call it the Lydia story. So our friends from Help will probably know of this story. But it's a story of, just like myself, Lydia was, interested in the character strengths typology, classification of virtues, and we did this activity in which we all completed the fear survey first, and then we embarked on a discussion, got students into groups, and it was a kind of 360-degree evaluation. Right, say, hey, you know what strengths did you get? I see these strengths in you. And Lydia was somewhat disappointed, and I think there was someone in the chat as well who said, well, I wished that these were my higher strengths rather than these other. And that's a totally normal and common experience when it comes to your VIA 24 results, right? We wish we were, I thought I was a grateful person. So why isn't gratitude in my upper strengths? I see myself as creative, but it's somewhere down the middle or the lower rung. So the same thing happened with Lydia as well, right? And she expressed some disappointment. There's a common response, like I said. So, here to reassure you to some extent that, people feel this too. But I think the sort of the magic, if you will, that happened was because this was a group discussion, Lydia's friends came over to her and said that, no, that is you, Lydia, because we see that in you. Your strength of judgment really came through. You remember the time in which we were working on this assignment? I think you had, an eagle-eyed focus on the details. You were thinking things through really critically. So you made sure that all the necessary reports and resources that we would eventually put into our report, our lab report, right, was going to be of the best, most reputable quality. And I think at that moment, I could still remember, and this happened about 2 years ago, Lydia just laying back, right, taking a deep breath in, and she had not actually seen her strength of judgment in that light before, right, through a positive lens. And I think as a result of that realization, she shared that she would, then become a little bit more mindful, right, a little bit less critical, right, of her strengths. And I think it's such a powerful shift when people start recognizing that that's goodness within you. And I like to often summarize the story by saying that MBSP is one of those programs, one of those experiences, I would say, that invites you to hold the mirror up to others. And in turn, others will also help hold up the mirror towards you as well. So I think that's a it's a really powerful shift that's influenced the way that I've worked.
Oh, I love that metaphor, the mirror and being able to see yourself and allowing others to see you as well. And I think there's someone in the chat who was just saying that they were kind of disappointed about what their strengths were when they took the test initially. And so I think we can all relate. Sometimes you don't know until you see it, and then once you let it settle in a little bit, it starts to make sense. And having those people in our lives who can confirm and support us along the way, I think is the cherry on top. So yes, agree with all of that. And thank you for sharing, Eugene. And Danielle, we'll go ahead and get your thoughts on how mindfulness-based strengths practice has influenced your life or how you work.
Okay, so definitely, I would say infiltrates, permeates, accents everything. So all parts of my life, being a parent, being a spouse, being a daughter, a sibling, all of that. Certainly professionally, as soon as I learned about MBSP and strengths, I started integrating strengths into my yoga practice, sharing strengths, as a yoga instructor with students. So kind of peppering strengths into our postures and, starting our class with a strength to focus on. This was especially powerful and helpful for people during the pandemic. We'd start, a practice with really focusing on hope, for example. And people found that very helpful, right? As like setting an intention for their practice and cultivating and tapping into that strength within themselves, help them to deepen their yoga practice. Other aspects of my professional life, it just integrates everything. I do workshops around character strengths in addition to MBSP as a program. That part has been really wonderful. I do a lot, and I work in HR. And so, talking to folks about their strengths and then weaving in the interventions that can be super powerful for them. One of the programs I offer is called Character Strengths, Tap Into Your Superpowers. And that helps me to start to introduce MBSP. It's kind of like session zero is what Ryan calls it. And they start to get a taste of, oh, these are what my strengths are. And I think one of the most amazing, powerful things, which Eugene was just talking about, is when we are able to help somebody remove or reduce some of their strengths blindness, which we all have, right? It's kind of natural. We might not give ourselves enough credit. We might discount some of our strengths, or we just don't have the language yet to fully recognize when we are using our strengths. Because of course, whether you know this language or not, you are always using your strengths throughout your life. It's just that until you learn this language and until you're able to put on the glasses of strengths, right? Ryan always uses that analogy of seeing through the lens of strengths. Until you are able to do that and articulate it, it just doesn't go as recognized. It doesn't go as appreciated. And so that is what's most powerful, is helping people to see, oh, wow, I do have this strength. I was using this strength. And part of that awareness that's so impactful is that it starts to create greater empathy among people, because we realize that we all have all 24 strengths within us, that we all may recognize sometimes or not. We may have some strengths blindness or not, that we're all kind of able to have these same imperfections, if you will, around our strengths. But we're also able to cultivate and grow and develop them and recognize them just as much. And so that is really a beautiful thing. And that kind of seed planting has been, what impacts, the bulk of my work. Thank you.
Wow. Amazing. And um, I love just the focus on awareness and having the awareness of who we are and then acceptance, moving into the acceptance of not looking down on ourselves for certain situations or personality traits, but instead reinvesting that energy in celebrating ourselves and celebrating those around us. So yes, just absolutely lovely. And I think your responses touched on a few of the questions that we got in the chat. And hoping that we can spend just a couple of minutes. I do have a question here that I'd like to pose to both of you. And so someone is saying, would you say that MBSP helps you apply your strengths and uniqueness to improve and deepen your mindfulness practice, or the other way around? So they're curious through mindfulness if you learn to deepen your strengths, or if through strengths you learn to deepen your mindfulness. So a little bit of a tongue twister, but um, curious if either of you have any thoughts on the combination and how they work together.
Danielle, I'll let you take this one first.
Oh, okay. Sure. So, I mean, honestly, it truly is a synergy that goes both ways. Um, and that is because, initially, I feel like mindfulness, curiosity is such an important part of mindfulness, being open, being curious, being accepting. So I think having that foundation is very helpful as you begin to enter into character strengths work and learn more about the strengths themselves, learn more about your unique strengths. But then it also goes the other way, where, applying some strengths, for example, self-regulation, in a more deep, profound way is very helpful when you're trying to maintain or establish a mindfulness meditation practice. So at least for me, I know maybe you wanted me to pick one or the other, but I feel like it really is a very complementary two-way street that, at least for me in my practice, looking back, it is kind of hard to parse that out and say, like, which came first, the chicken or the egg.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree with you, Danielle. So that synergy, that two-way street, one enforcing, deepening the practice of the other, the recognition of strengths done through the lens of mindfulness, and also, the practice of mindfulness that is then strengthened through the use of strengths. Yeah, I agree. It goes both ways, and you said it beautifully.
Yeah, I know that Ryan has a saying, and I hope I get it right, but it's something like mindfulness without character strengths um, is not as fulfilling, and character strengths without mindfulness is, yeah, you you need the awareness to be able to engage the strengths, and you need the strengths to fulfill like your greater purpose in life. And I feel like the combination gives you a little bit of both. Um, I'll have to find that and send it out to everyone because I didn't say it the right way, but it's a good one. And I think everyone would enjoy it. So, with that, I think we didn't receive too many more questions um, about the practice that haven't been answered. So, shout out to Alicia. Thank you so much for supporting everyone in the chat. And then I just wanted to share a promotion with everyone before we jump into our closing practice that Eugene will walk us through. So, said it before, but two more courses of mindfulness-based strength practice offered this year. So, one starts May 7th with Dr. Roger Brotherton. And the timing of this course is really meant to accommodate folks outside of the United States. And so, hoping that this time works for you all and feels good. And then we have another course in September with Dr. Ryan Nemec, who you have all heard so much about him today. And I think it's very clear that he's been such a positive influence in both Danielle and Eugene's experience, as well as all of ours at VIA, and probably many of yours who are here on the call today. He is the founder and creator. So his course starts in September. And right now and through the end of the month, we are running a promotion for 20% off this program. We want more people to join us. We want everyone to experience what Danielle and Eugene have shared with us. And I can definitely attest to experiencing a lot of those similar shifts. And so little by little, just making the world a better place, filled with empathy, like you said, Danielle. I thought that was absolutely incredible and very spot on. The more that we can accept one another and love one another and see the good in each other. And so, again, hoping to see some of you in a future course. And if not, just stay connected with us on LinkedIn, through email. Keep the community strong. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. And very excited, Eugene, for you to walk us through a closing practice just to send us off on our day.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you, Danielle, for your sharing. Thank you, everyone, for being a part of our session today. I hope you found this to be informative, inspiring, and hopefully we'll be seeing a few of you at the MBSP program, either with Roger or Ryan. So as we close for our session today, I'd like to invite all of you to take on a posture of strength. You've had strengths guide you through today's session. Some of you called upon your curiosity in asking those questions. Others, perseverance, as it is late in the day. As you take on that posture of strength, I'm going to invite the bell. If you like, I invite you to go ahead and soften your gaze or to close your eyes. So as we finish our session today with a mindful pause, I invite you to take a moment to check in with yourself and to think about the strength that you did use today. Then the last hour, as you brought your full awareness and your strengths to our conversation, what strength spoke to you, called out to you? Some of you might have been curiosity, others, a love of learning. And as we're seeing from the chat window, social intelligence, and being mindful and receptive of others' sharing. You might have called upon zest. I understand it's late in the day for some of you, so you brought forth that strength for our session this evening. And some of you are already thinking about bringing MBSP back to your communities, showing and expressing a strength of leadership. Recognizing strengths as a pathway to change. And that's calling upon the strength of courage. I'll leave you for a moment for your contemplation and reflection to listen into your strengths. I'll come get you in a short moment. All right, folks, as we gently return once again, as we do always in the practice of MBSP, to the present. Thank you so much for being a part of this session. I'm going to hand the time back over to Sarah for any concluding comments.
Thank you, Eugene. That was lovely and feel refreshed. It's 8:30 a.m. where I am, so I'm excited to keep these strengths at top of mind for the rest of my day. And like so much gratitude to you and Danielle for showing up today and sharing your stories and the immense light that both of you share in your personal lives and with all of us today. You guys are truly, I'll call you character strengths pioneers. And I just love that you're sharing this with your communities and now, globally with